Welcome to Energy Stew. This is Peter Roth, your host. And I'd like to ask you, are you ready to start something new? Anything? I mean, after all, we're in tough times. Maybe we all need to get out of our own way into something in a new way. So I'm very excited to be interviewing a guest who did start something new years ago and learned a lot of hard lessons that we can all learn from as we want to start new things and figure out why, what's in us, what's for us, what's about us. So we'll learn and hopefully succeed, hopefully. So to help us talk about this is the author of a wonderful book called Crash Course. So how much can we crash in life? And this is a course to help us avoid as many crashes as possible. So I'm so happy to talk with Ricardo Jimenez, the author of Crash Course. Ricardo, welcome to Energy Stew.
Peter, I am so happy to be in your show. I'm already feeling the stewed energy. So let's do this.
Great, because your book was so important because you did start something new very bravely. It takes great courage to embark on a new project and of any size, even if it's a one-day project or a lifelong project. And you thought this was going to be a lifelong project of a new company, and you put your heart into it, you put your money into it. And what happened?
So, brief intro about me. I am an author with this book, Crash Course, an entrepreneur and an investor. I'm from Spain, for those who are wondering about the accent, but I live mostly in Puerto Rico. So a few years ago, many years ago, I lost the job that I had. I was working in big corporate America, but I always knew that I wanted something different. So on the side, I had started my own company. My job was, I was full of it. I was around very intelligent people, very driven, and some people that became my best friends. But at the same time, it didn't feel like it was the best place for me, and I don't know how much we need to get into that. So on the side,
well, no, but that's true for a lot of people who right now are feeling that they're not in the best place for them.
Yes, and so there's lots of questions. So why are we not in the right place for us? Would it be worth that we make a sacrifice to obtain something? Should we be preparing for what we really want? Are we stuck because of fear? Are we there because it makes the most sense for an amount of time? Could we be learning as much as possible from another company so we can start our own? So I guess we can be in a stuck place, but we can all be there for different reasons, right? And that's why we need to go a little deeper for each of us to understand our specific situations. In my case, I was learning, I was saving money to start my company, and I was still very new to know what I really wanted. So with a friend, while I was working in this company, we decided to start a company. We did toys in the shape of countries, and there was a layoff, and I didn't have the savings that I intended to have before going full time with this company. But when the layoff happened, I realized that my heart was not, let's say, in big corporate anymore, and I wanted to give it a chance with everything that I had. One of the things that I discovered that I talk about in the book is that first it was when you're laid off, it's very hard, it's very confusing, it's heartbreaking. But after 3 or 4 days, I realized that I was having a very odd feeling, a very strange sensation. And I realized it was happiness. It was the joy of not having to go and spend the day doing something that didn't resonate with my heart. And that's when I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go all in with my company, even though I didn't think it was the perfect timing in terms of savings. I thought it was what I most wanted to do at that point. And when we start something new, I think it's hard because we all want better conditions, better timing, better partners. But in my case, I realized that sometimes when you're so clear on what you want to do, even though things are not perfect, it doesn't matter as much because you know what's the biggest impulse that you want to listen to.
Yourself, basically,
Yes.
give yourself a break to have a new opportunity. And you had this idea that you thought you could get traction with, and you invested in it and put your heart into it and believed in yourself.
Yes, me and my partner at the time, we put our savings, and I looked for a designer. We found a designer. We did different prototypes. We did that manufacturing overseas, and we created the logistics of a small medium company with distribution centers near London, near LA. And we created this infrastructure because we always assumed we will build it and they will come, and that did not happen. And yeah, it's incredible now in retrospect how entrepreneurs are very optimistic, and we're doing something that we believe in, and we are so biased to liking or finding value in our idea that we assume that the rest of the people will see the world as we see it as well. So it didn't happen, and for many years we tried all the ways possible to bring this product to market, online shows, conference, in stores, and it's a long story of overcoming obstacles, rejections, partners that said they were going to do something and then they didn't. So, or to give examples about the brutal experience that entrepreneurship most often is. There was a toy store in the city that I lived in, Austin, and I had parents, friends who had kids, and they told me, your toys need to be in this store. And for a couple of years, I tried really hard to get into the store. And finally, I got a call and they told me, okay, the owner and buyer has agreed to meet with you. I prepared the pitch. I went there with my bag, with my toys, ready to show them what our brand, not only our toys, but our brands, what we stand for, our vision. And before I was going to pull out the first toy, she told me, I don't need to see your toys. And I asked her, what do you mean? And she said, no, I've been to your website, and they are too colorful and too branded. And I said, that's it. And she said, yeah, that's it. I don't even need to see them. And in different ways, different colors, different aromas, lots of entrepreneurs face this kind of rejection. And it's not that it happened once. It's pretty much every day. And lots of companies fail because of a specific thing that happened. For me, I feel like it was a death in 1,000 cuts. So it was just day after day, day after day. So it was a little hard. So yeah, it takes a lot of courage to start something new with all your home. But it's also very beautiful to listen to your heart and know that you will not live with a ghost in your heart. Even though I had done market research, and the research would have told me the market doesn't want your idea, what you want to offer, I would still have thought, no, I need to see this for myself.
Did you say it again? You would still do
even though I had done market research and the research had concluded that the market did not want my product, I would have told myself, I want to see this for myself.
You want to prove it?
To
yourself.
Yes,
you believed in it.
Myself. Yeah, I need to see this for myself.
Right.
I'm not gonna take a no and then
What does that lead to?
Well, it leads to what happened, right? Well, you never know. This is the magic. You never know what it leads to. How many big ideas? We all know the ideas of the big artists, creators that were rejected so many times, and on the 57th time, everything changed. And other times, at the same time, we are biased because in our world we see the things that succeeded. All the things that did not succeed, we don't get to see them, right? So we are also, let's say, I don't know what the exact name of this bias is, but we're biased by success or reality, because over 90% of ventures don't succeed, but those are the ones that we do not get to see in real life. So so we don't see those. So for instance, my toys now, you wouldn't be able to see them in the world because they didn't succeed. So what does it mean? I feel like there's so much uncertainty, and that's what, for me as an entrepreneur, it was so confusing. One very particular day in which someone recognized me in South by Southwest, and she said Plashkis, and that's not my name, but that was the name of my company. I turned around and she told me, since we bought your toys to our kid has, I think she said, has been going to bed for 6 months with your toys. She's all the time with your toys, and my son adored your toys. So on that same day, I got an email from a potential investor telling me what you're doing is a waste of time and money.
Yeah, it's hard
right?
to differentiate after hearing
Correct.
the story.
You don't know because there's so many mixed signals. It's not that if everything goes bad and nobody in the world wants what you're doing, then maybe you think, okay, well, it looks like this is not working. But when you get mixed signals, you hold on so hardly to the messages that you want to hear because you're an optimist. This is what I want to listen to. This is what I want to be my guide. That you just keep persevering, and sometimes it's the right thing to do, and other times it's not. And when do you know? It's really hard to tell.
Yes, because everything is so whimsical out there, because there are so many people who are disingenuous, who will not really be sincere, or they think they're sincere, but they're really not going to support you the way it looks like. And you went through a lot of that. And then, it's almost as if you can't predict life from day to day anyway. and
Yeah.
and you hope that what you have will have enough traction to succeed. But it's a crazy world, and people aren't honest in so many ways that, and they're not respectful enough. In other words, people will take advantage of your goodwill, and you're willing to believe them, that you follow
Yeah.
the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was thinking about that. Yeah, sometimes that happens. I also realize that sometimes also people start with good intentions. It's not like they have most people. It's not like they're coming from the start with bad intentions. It's just that they come with good intentions, but as soon as things are a little harder than they thought, or maybe a better opportunity comes along the way, then they just very fickle and they change their minds to the whatever next shiny object they think it's going to be for them. So yeah, people are. It's hard to find people to commit for something that's still not working.
Right. It's hard to be trusting, but what if you had a different product that people could really put their hearts into and it would succeed? And but that's a whole different world that you're not in.
Yeah.
And good for somebody who has that, and that's their karma in life, to have something that is more easily sold and can have traction. And yet life is fickle, and people are fickle. And so then what? So then let's look at it from a different point of view on what is it worth anyway?
What is it worth
Anyway,
to be
an entrepreneur, to have something that might crash, and,
yeah,
and why is it of value anyway?
Well, what I know is of value is of listening to your heart, being honest, and I think that needs to drive what you do. And of course, we need to use our intellect as well to do those things in the smartest way possible, in the less risky way possible, since we're starting something new. you want to make sure that it's so risky by nature. You're doing something new, but you want to use your intellect to de-risk as much as possible. But the value of being honest with yourself and trusting and not having a guarantee in order to start a project, because you cannot just embark on projects with a guarantee that they're going to go well. Nothing has a guarantee. If not, we wouldn't even have personal relationships, friendships, I don't know, sports teams, nothing. We put our heart in the things that we believe in, the things that we want to see in the world, and then we can only do our best and trust that things go well. And if they don't, yeah.
I think that's why you wrote this book, is because you're not ashamed of what happened. You know, it crashed, you lost your business, you lost a lot of money, but what did you gain from it? And maybe it's worth it no matter what.
Yes. So I'm not ashamed. Good question that you ask. So because it's been difficult to write the book. There were two parts to it. One was I wanted to organize the experience, all these lessons, memories, emotions, confusion, being overwhelmed, everything that was coming to me, all the stories that I tell in the book. And I think in a way, sometimes I wanted to put it outside of me and organize it and have a little bit more distance and clarity.
And I like what you did. By the way, I like what you did. I liked reading the struggle, because and I could really feel what you're now talking about.
Thanks. And the second part is that there's lots of books about startups, about companies, how to build a company. But I don't know that I read a book about the person who's building the company. And I think that's a big difference. I've seen that when I see books about entrepreneurship, they're either, again, books about startups or books about or autobiographies of the big billionaires. But most readers and those books about billionaires, they're very inspirational. But I did not want to write an inspirational book. I wanted to write a companionship book. I think for most entrepreneurs, their experience, it's not easy. More often than not, I hear the word brutal. It's brutal. And you question yourself, you question what you're doing, you are confused. And it's good to have a reference book that tells you what's happening with you is very normal. There's nothing wrong with you.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's also important that you take care of yourself, because entrepreneurs, they're so obsessed and so vision driven and so goal driven with making their company succeed that they forget about themselves. And I understand that you feel like I don't have time to take care of myself. The problem is that if you're not operating from a good state, it's more likely than not that you will end up making worse decisions, having worse conversations, creating more chaos around you. So it's not how do you say, it's not a hobby, or it's not a fun thing. I don't know what, it's not an extra thing to take that you need to take care about yourself. I think it's primary that you understand where you're coming from, because if not, you could be running around completely lost and spending all this time and energy when perhaps it would just be better for you to stay at home taking a nap. You're just going to create more confusion.
No, but
so the message,
you were experiencing courage. You were experiencing belief, self-belief. I think the honorableness of what you've done is what you should be the proudest of, because you were dedicated to your heart, and that's the best you could do. You did the best you could do every moment, and that's wonderful. And then you have to face, the crash, and what does that mean? And then you say, in your book, you talk about failure is its own MBA. You got a master's in business without having to go to school. It cost you a lot of money and time, but look at all that you learn about not only what could go right, but what could go wrong in life, which is basically how we have to live each day of our lives with our choices, and not all our choices are winners. And and how do we face each choice when it could be the wrong choice, and we have those every day. And so
Yeah,
who
it could
are
be.
we in doing that?
No, yeah, it could be the wrong choice, but at the same time, you never know, right? You never know where the wrong choice could take you. Things that I made these wrong choices, I ended up in a co-working space, meeting a guy that changed my life. And very often what we think it's a really bad choice or a really big failure turns out into a great story, and the other way around. I was talking about this with a friend a few days ago, and how it can go both ways. As I share in the book, I am a big Real Madrid fan. And in the last years, I saw a couple of Real Madrid, the soccer team, a couple of coaches whose life dream was to be the coach of Real Madrid. And when they were presented, they were in tears of joy. But then 3 or 4 months, they were fired. So it's like you never know, right? You never know when good is going to turn into bad, when bad is going to turn into good, and then good could turn into bad again. It's a very myopic, short-term view. I think the life is so much more open, wonderful, mysterious that we just don't know.
Right. And so what do we know? The only thing we do know is our own heart, and to believe in it no matter what.
Yeah,
And
listening to it. Yeah.
and so I love the whole idea of this conversation with you, because you are a good representative of taking on challenge in life in ways that obviously weren't going to work out, that now we know, not then.
Yeah.
And then what? What do you make of it? Who are you? What are you about? And how can you deal with life if you've had such a big failure? And it's how you treat it. It's like it's all about the interpretation of, was it a failure or was it an opportunity? And
Yeah, there are
and so and you have a lot of good advice and wonderful understandings, because you really put it out there.
Yeah, there are a couple of lessons. Let's say there's what we can call the more technical lessons about things that I should have done different on the business aspect. But the bigger growth comes with yourself. When you are embarking on a project that's not meeting your expectations, so that it's not going as you hoped it would go, it forces you, one, to think harder. But also, if you look at yourself, you will realize that you have all these emotions, fear, confusion. And this is the best way, if you're going to use a company, a startup, to learn, to see what you're feeling, to see where you're coming from, to see where am I in all this? Why am I creating this for myself? And being open to not to only to blame the world because they're not from meeting their commitments or respecting their contracts. So the world could be doing all these things that, let's say, they shouldn't do, or maybe they're not right. But if you leave it at what everyone is doing wrong, there is no learning from you. Where the magic happens is for you to ask yourself the questions about, how does this make me feel? How can I see this experience to learn more about myself? Where have I been coming from? So again, the goal is always to not to leave the blame in the outside, but to understand yourself a little bit more. And the more you understand yourself, the less you see yourself as a victim, and the more you will start trusting in your human experience.
Yes, and in what it took to take on a challenge, and how you had to believe in yourself, and what does that mean in life? And I think to walk away from something like as you had to do, and move on, you had to look at all the positives from it, and you have.
Yeah, and it's hard. So yeah, it takes a lot of courage this is what I realized as well. It takes a lot of courage, that we were talking a few minutes ago, to start something that only exists, let's say, in your vision or in your heart. But then when you think, I'm going to devote myself, my whole life to this, if necessary, it also takes a lot of courage to stop doing something, because we are so entrepreneurs, creators, we're so identified with what we do, that stopping, like, let's say that the failure of something equates to the failure of ourselves. And that's where we need to be extremely careful to distinguish between what is a thing or an experience and what is us as people. And
In other words, what is a valuable journey in your life?
say that again.
What is a valuable journey in your life? See it as a journey that helps you learn about yourself in a meaningful way, and be proud of yourself for all of the courage that it took, and ingenuity and creativity, and be proud of the effort.
Yeah, and that's what you need to take going forward, because again, when we decide to stop a project, we have a couple of options. We can drag that I don't know, that judgment, or that what's the word that I'm going for, when something doesn't go well, you could drag that failure, the shame, the stigma with you, and tell yourself, whoa, I'm a failure. Or you could, again, that would be looking backward, or you could use those learnings and look forward, and again feel like you're starting again. It's always scarier to start again, because you don't know what you're going to be doing and how it's going to work.
But look at all you learned. You learned so much from it.
But that's the thing. But that's more of a renewal. It's more a refreshing renewal, constant renewal, than sticking to something that it's not what you want to be doing with your life.
Right. So this has been wonderful talking with you. I love the conversation. It's so important for everybody, whether you're starting a big company or just a little
anything,
taking each day, to appreciate your courage, and and how you believe in yourself, and to take the next step in life. And so, Ricardo, thank you. Your book is Crash Course. How can people follow up on this?
The best way. So the Crash Course by me, Ricardo Jimenez, is already available on Amazon. So I would love for your listeners to give it a chance. And my website is ricardojimenezh.com. And I would love to hear from your listeners as well there.
Great. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Thanks to you, Peter. I really enjoyed meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Peter Roth, your host of Energy Stew at prn.live. I can be reached at Peter at Heart River, HEART river.org. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for listening.